Hey guys, so in this tutorial I will show you how I draw oranges. So I like drawing fruit, they're very juicy and very colorful. So first thing that I did, I taped my paper. This is Canson Mi Teintes paper and it's the reverse side, the smooth one, it's not the textured one. And also about the reference photo, you can find it on my Patreon. You don't have to be a member, you can download it from there. So I took the picture myself. So bought these tasty oranges the other day in the shop and had to make a picture. And the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose the colors. So the colors that I will be using for my oranges. White for, hope you can see it, yes. So this is going to be my very lightest highlight. This is the very soft white. It's gonna go over the lemony yellow. Then from the lemony yellow, we're gonna go into a warmer yellow, an even warmer one. So this is kind of dialed down warm yellow. This is a unison, one of the Emma Colbert unisons. Then from there, we're gonna go into oranges. I'm sorry that I'm not saying any numbers or any pastel names because I have them all without papers, all without wrapping. So I don't know exactly the numbers of these pastels, but you can go according to the colors that I'm showing you if you're following this tutorial. Then I'm going to go into these brighter oranges, and this is going to be in the part where there's a reflection of the half of the orange in the shadow. And I don't like this pastel particularly, it doesn't layer very well. I think I'm going to find another one with the same color. Let's try this one here. Yeah, so this is the same color, but it's softer and it's a lot better. So then I'm going into my shadow areas. So about the shadows, I'm gonna go in with these dark reds. And I will be adding also some violets that are not open colors. They are not the spectral colors. They're kind of grayed down. And I will be using also for the cast shadow, I will be using, this is going to be the main color of the cast shadow. Then this very light violet, and blues and violets, they're good. If you look at the shadows, we see these gray colors of the shadows as a complementary color to the object that we're actually drawing. So our eye, if we see orange, we will see the opposite color on the color wheel, but it's color theory. So, and then also this dark color, this is the dark gray blue. I think this is Kohinoor from the gray set of Kohinoors. This is a very nice color. They have a very, very beautiful line of grays. And then I'm gonna go into the part of the orange that is turned away from the light, the half part of the orange, and I'm gonna do it with these kind of yellowish browns, the slightly warmer brown. And then we lack the colors for the leaves, and the leaves I'm gonna go from the lightest. This is the light warm green, grassy green. I'm gonna go into another warm green, and then the shadows, I'm gonna make them cooler, as we have also cooler shadows on our orange. So this is the color palette that I will be using. I don't think that I will need any other colors at this point. I can work with only these colors to create all the parts of my oranges. And I will start by drawing out my oranges with a pencil. So I'm just gonna put my pastels here. And I will use a neutral color. I think this one's gonna be okay. So this is a pastel pencil. Again, I'm always drawing with pastel pencils. And I'm gonna do like this. I'm gonna turn it around so I don't smudge. So I don't smudge the colors that I selected here with my hand. So cleaning my hands, and let's start drawing out the oranges. So first I wanna kind of think compositionally where my oranges are going to be. And so this is going to be the top part of my orange with this the part of the leafy bit sticking out. So this is going to be the top of my orange, and I'm looking down. This is probably going to be the bottom, and from here lower down there is another orange. I think I'm going to place it here. So I'm just marking in where my oranges are going to be. So then here we have an ellipse, and remembering that the closer part of the ellipse, I hope I pronounced that right, the closer part of it is going to be larger towards us. So I'm going to construct it like so. And this is going to be narrower than this part. That way we will show the perspective correctly. And this is the half orange. And here I will draw through so that my shape is correct. Here I have my other orange somewhere here. Okay, so these are the oranges. Here I'm gonna have the center over here, and the leaves. So this is the, I put this too close to the center. I need to move it slightly. I'm gonna move it down here. And it's going to stick out. I'm gonna take my eraser. Where did I put my eraser? I lost my eraser. It's okay. Mystery. I lost my eraser. Okay, let's use another one then. So I usually have my kneaded eraser if there are any mistakes, but we can use also another kind of eraser. I'll clean my hands and take away the dust, so our page, so our sheet remains clean. And here's this stalk poking out. And then from here we have one leaf and another leaf. I must have seemed crazy in the, it's going lower down, somewhere here. Must have seemed crazy when I went to the shop to buy these oranges, and I was picking out the oranges and digging in the box of oranges just to find the ones that I really liked visually with the leaves. So this is my leaf. And then, mistake that often beginner artists make is that they draw a leaf basically like this. So in the shape of a leaf. Leaf is never going to be like this in any drawing or painting or in nature. Only when it's facing us completely, then we will see the shape of the leaf like that. But usually leaves are curvy and they curve around and create these kind of curved, interesting shapes. So this is one leaf, and we need another one here. So I'm gonna just outline my shadow areas where they're gonna be the shadow areas. So it goes somewhere here, and then from here we will see the shadow also. It goes somewhere like this. Okay, so here I'm gonna add this leaf that kind of pokes out from underneath this orange, and I'm not going to make it very large because I want it to kind of fit into my composition. I'm going to make it slightly smaller. And here from under the shadow there's another leaf. Again, I can change its size, and then there's also a little stalk poking out. I can change its size and place it the way I need it. So here I'm gonna outline, there's more shadow here, and that's it. Basically our drawing is done. I can put away my pencil. Here I have some dirt on my paper. Always clean your hands, especially on these kind of Mi Teintes paper. It can get dirty easy. So let's start. I will start with the orange that is in the background and then pass on to this one. So usually in pastel you work from the background to the foreground. I'm gonna start with my Mi Teintes orange, and I'm looking where I see the color of the orange itself. Very lightly, I'm not pressing too hard, just applying the layer of pastel, looking where I see it. And basically this color is going to be in the area between the shadow part of the orange and the light part of the orange. So here we have a dip where the stalk is, and I'm leaving the space for my leaves here, not filling it in completely. So this is my Mi Teintes orange. Then I'm gonna go into my bright orange. So this is a darker orange, and I'm placing it here. As we see that this orange here is a lot lighter because it catches more light, and it's in front of this one, but it also casts a reflection onto this orange into its shadow, making it slightly lighter in this area. You can see it clearly in the picture. Also, good advice is to actually work from a still life that you set up at home yourself, but it's not always a possibility to actually do that, so it's okay if you work from a photo. But if you do have a possibility to work from still life, it's always better. So I'm gonna also add this here in the kind of the area where the shadow curves into the lighter parts, this brighter orange. And now with my dark reddish orange, I'm gonna go into my shadows. So here it's quite dark also. Don't be afraid, it's gonna lighten up. The shadows are gonna lighten up slightly because we're gonna be adding other colors. And here I'm gonna add also this violet color because I wanted to have these contrasting colors to the orange. And I'm adding it also here under the leaf. There's a shadow. Also adding that red. And what else we need is we need to go into our lights before we start blending. And I'm gonna go gradually from this darker yellow, making sure that it's clean. So this darker yellow, I'm adding it first. Oh, my reference photo went away. So I'm adding this darker yellow here everywhere. And over the top, I'm gonna go with brighter yellows. Even though the orange is orange, but we still see yellows here. And with this lemony yellow. For now, we don't do any highlights. First, we need to put in that color as a base. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna start blending it. I'm gonna go from the lightest bits first. And I'm blending it very gently. So this shadow, I'm gonna blend it in the shape of the shadow, like so, for now. Sweaty fingers. So trying not to go out of the borders, and I will still have to find my eraser because it really needed in this work. So you can see that here now it's going to start to actually gain shape. So we're going into the darks here, darkening this reflected light off of this orange because it can't be lighter than our darkest light. There. So go here. So you can see already we have a shape kind of coming out. Now what I'm gonna do is I need to add a reflected light here that kind of reflects from the background, and I'm using a blue color. This is the blue that we will be using for shadows. I'm adding it here. And as we have the shadow from the leaf there, I'm gonna darken it with my violets now. So this is the shadow that the leaf actually casts onto our orange. Slightly blending it in. There we go. And then here I went a bit too far. Adding that reflected light again with this brighter orange. And we're kind of now modeling. It's like clay. We're making something out of, or kind of shaping the lights and shadows. So a bit more of this here, and need my blue again here, just to create that reflected light on this side. And I'm gonna go into even lighter violet here to add that reflected light. And tapping it in gently, so it doesn't have to be very, very, very bright. There we go. And then here there's going to be slightly a reflection of light as well at the bottom, because it's going to reflect the surface that it's standing on. And I'm gonna add some of this dusty pink over here more. And also here. And I see that there's this kind of, okay, we're gonna get there. Now let's slightly blend these in. Very gently. And I'm adding that reflected light here with the blue. And now let's pass on to this lighter bit of our orange. So I'm adding the bright orange on the area where we have the transition from shadow into the light. And I'm going with my bright orange. Darkening the shadows with, I'm lacking, I see that I need some more red brown here in the shadow. Cleaning my hands. Transitioning into the light areas. Adding more of this orange here. Looking where I see more of this kind of clean color. And here we have kind of a dip into the orange. There's this line going here. I'm gonna use slightly darker color. So here we have this shadowy bit, and I'm gonna blend it in. So it creates that sensation of the shape of the orange. So darkening here, and there's a shadow coming from the leaf over here. I'm gonna take the darker orange. Actually, this is the mid-tone orange. I'm gonna add this orange over here, just so it's not that dark. That line that goes from the orange, it's not as dark as the shadow bits. orange here, darkening slightly this side. Okay. And now we can go into our yellows and start shaping the orange with our yellows. This is my light. Also some yellows here, you see them? And by this dip. So we need just to create the hint at the dip there. Oh, that's loud. And also some orange over here, orange yellow, sorry. Tapping it in. And then I'm gonna go into my lemon yellows. I'm adding those lemon yellows first. Tapping them in so they're not too bright. And as you can see, small bits here. As you can see, this lacking a bit of orange over on this side. There are these kind of holes in the texture of my orange, and I see that the light hits it from this way, and we can create a sense of texture like this, and then tap it in. So I created these kind of holes here, and with my lemon yellow, I'm going to go and create that lighter edge that these kind of holes have. Cleaning my finger and tapping it in. So if it's too much, you can always rub them out, but this is going to give that texture to the orange. I'm going to take my darker orange. Actually, I'm going to go in with this color to create that dip here. I don't like how it looks. And then with the yellow, I'm going to bring out this side. Here the reflected light. I'm kind of sculpting it. And also here there's quite a good reflection. And I'm gonna go into this brighter orange to create that sense of the shape curving in. Okay, so now we can add those highlights if we wish. With the white, and then I tap it in so it's not as bright, bright white. Okay. Then we're gonna be adding leaves onto this orange. Actually, we can pass on to this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with this brown as this side of the orange, even if it's bright orange in the sunlight. Here it's turned away from us and it's quite dark. So I'm adding this shape here where the inside of the orange is. And I'm gonna add also some warmer browns into it just to show that it's actually orange and not green. This is a unison, but it's actually very scratchy. It's weird. And then there's this dip here. So I'm gonna blend this out, and what I'm doing is I'm blending it as the orange grows towards the center. Now I'm going to take my lighter yellow and create a texture in some bits, those lighter areas. Always using the pastel on the side. And then with this darker brown, I'm going to create that shadow that dips inside here. I'm going to add some reds also. So this is this brownish red that we were using. Okay, and now with my light yellow, I can add some of these, hint at the texture of my orange. But I'm not drawing each section of the orange, I'm just drawing out some of these sections just to create a feeling. And now that I'm looking at my shadows here, I want to darken them up a bit, so I'm going to use a bit more of this violet, just so we create more contrast. And without the shadow, we still don't see it, don't see the shape good, because it kind of floats in the air, our orange. So this one here. And adding this bright orange over the top. So now what we're doing is we're gonna do this side of the orange, and here I'm gonna go in with my darker orange. This is the mid-tone orange here at the bottom. Then I'm gonna go into my reddish browns here to create that shadow where it curves. I'm going into my yellows and into these bright yellows. And here it curves again into our oranges. So we need to create that contrast between this orange and that one in the background. Here we're gonna go darker oranges as it curves away from us, but still it has to be a lot lighter than this orange in the shadow. Now we can blend it out. Actually, I need some more orange here as the shape kind of curves under like this. Through color, I'm going to my yellows. Blending it out, watching the shape. I'm going in with this violet just to create that contour. There we go. And here under the leaf, I'm gonna intensify it. So now we have this, I'm gonna add this violet just here, a hint of this violet just to create that illusion of shadow, that it curves away from us. Now with this dark red, actually I'm gonna go in with an orangey color. I'll go with the orange, and then over the top I'm gonna pass with another color. So this is the bright orange. I'm gonna create that rim that we see around. And here you can use blending tools like stumps and stuff like that. Also here, I'm gonna go all the way around. And now we're gonna knock it back as it's in the shadow. First blending so we don't have those white areas. So here, blend it in. So I can add more texture, actually blended out all the texture that I added. And here is I'm pulling this color out onto my orange just to darken it up and dial it down a bit. Now I'm going to go in with this color that we used for the center of the orange and pass over the bright orange that we have in the shadow. So we knock it back a bit. And just slightly here. Because it can't be bright orange as it's turned away from us. Okay, and now I'm going to come back into my rim and create that kind of with this lighter yellow. I'm trying to pull it out and make it seem lighter than the inside of the orange. Actually, it's not that light, even if you squint and you look at it, it's not that light. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and create those the texture that I lost. Again, very gently, just to give a feel. Oops, my reference photo went away again. Just to give a feel of those of the inside of the orange. Here, there's a lighter bit here. Like so. Here it's lighter. There we go. Now with this orange, I'm gonna add some more texture. So if you pass with the orange over the top of your paper, we're going to create kind of a texture look. And here the yellow is quite bright. And I'm gonna add this lemon yellow. Dirty hands, careful with the dirty hands. So I'm adding this lemon yellow, and also on this rim here, just to create more of that contrast. And with the white, we can create those tiny bits of highlight here. There we go. I think I need to still darken this bit because it curves away from us, and I want to make it seem like that. And here we have also this dark edge visible. There we go. So now we can do the shadows and the leaves. Actually, I'm gonna add this red again back into the texture of my orange. Here we go. Now for the shadows. For the shadows, I'm gonna go in with this dark blue. I'm gonna create that darkest shadow right under the orange where it touches the surface. Looking where it is. And the same way it goes here. I'm gonna create that shadow that is the strongest right under the orange. Then going in with my violets slightly. This is the like pinkish violet. And with this bluer tone. And the farther I go from my orange, the less intense the color of the shadow is going to be. So here it's going to be quite dark, but the further we go, the less intense it's going to be. So I'm going switching colors. This is already violet that kind of blends into the paper. Adding a bit more of this blue. And now I'm going to blend out the shadow. So I'm moving away. It's going to be less, it's going to have less color, and it's going to kind of fade into the paper. So we're going further away. Cleaning my hands good, so clean hands. And rubbing it away. Put that orange in there. We can add also orange into our shadow, as we have the reflection of our oranges in the shadow in the surface of the paper also. So here we have still that shadow coming off. So if you look at shadows, as I said, when you think that you're seeing gray, it's going to go into the complementary color of the object usually, because our vision is going to perceive it that way. Okay, so there we go. This one we need to blend this shadow out as well. I'm gonna intensify this yellow here. Ooh, went in the wrong direction. It's okay, I'm gonna blend it out. Here I'm gonna make it darker. This had to do the rim of that orange, but then it went the wrong way. Do like this. there we go. So now we need to do the leaves. Here I'm gonna blend out that shadow a bit, slightly the same way here. Don't want it to be very, very hard. This bit here. Ooh. Dirtied the paper slightly. It's okay, I'm gonna add this light blue that serves as the shadow color. So I wanted this to be only the shadow color, but it actually kind of makes itself as a shadow, not the shadow, as a background. So I'm going to intensify my shadows, use this blue as the shadow color, and that's going to be my background. A bit of a mistake here, but it's okay. We learn on mistakes. So there we go. We have this. Just gonna pull out this shadow slightly more. Now what we need to do is we need to create the leaves, and for that I'm going to start with my lightest color, and I'm looking at the shape of those leaves, how they form and where the lights are. This bright rim. So here there's quite a light area, and in this leaf we can add also some lights. And here it's interesting how it kind of folds in. Okay. Switching to my next color. This I think is Creta color. Yes, this one. It's quite hard, but it still works well on any paper. It's quite pigmented. There's this leaf. And I'm covering all of this one. And also this one here. Gonna slightly blend them and then add the darker colors over the top. Being careful not to drag my oranges into the leaves. Okay, and now with the dark, I'm going to add those darker areas of the leaf. Always using it on the side. And there's this darker edge here. And with this other yellowish green, I'm adding the edge here. And we have this leaf growing here, and I'm gonna add the shadow bit to the, I'm gonna use this dark blue, grayish blue to add the shadow to the leaf, and also in the leaf itself to add the shadow to this part. And I will add some of the reds just slightly into my leaf, just to make it a part of the whole drawing. As we have oranges, it's going to reflect the light into our leaves as well. This leaf here, it's quite yellowish. I'm going to use my yellow color, and then that yellow, and then the shadow bit. First with my green as it folds, and then we have this part where it grows out the stalk. Then Oh, broke my pastel. Adding this part here, then intensifying the shadows with my blue. And then here we have that cast shadow from the stock. There we go. And here I'm gonna darken this up a bit, just so that we have, there is going to be the reflected light, but just so that it comes away from the background. Here we have that cast shadow as well. Okay, so the same thing we do with these leaves. So I'm seeing that there is this line in the center, and this bit of the leaf is quite dark. And the same goes here, there's this darker edge. And this little stalk coming out. Let's take this one, we'll create more of a leaf shape. We give more of a leaf shape to this one. And where's my blue? Dark blue, there it is. Here I'm gonna add those shadow bits that it's coming out from under the orange, and it's quite dark there. So we can add again this reddish color that it's going to reflect the color off of the orange in places. And here there's this line that we can clearly see. There we go. And this leaf is going to have a cast shadow, but it's not going to be very dark. So don't see it very good. This is going to be the cast shadow of the leaf. So as it's not leaning onto the table completely, it's slightly off the table, we will see the cast shadow less intense than in places where the leaf would have touched the table surface. And this one as well, we're going to darken up the shadow areas, leaving some texture in some places. And sorry, and here we will have a cast shadow, so I'm going in the shape of the leaf. And then as it goes further off, it gets less intense. So the cast shadow is always the darkest, where we have the object touching the surface. And now we need this stock bit here. I'm adding it with my dark blue, just a bit of dark green, because it's quite dark, this stock bit here. And with my light green, I'm gonna add this bit. And also these lines on the leaves. I'm gonna try to blend this stock just slightly. There we go. And here we will have a shadow, cast shadow of this leaf. So I can add the background with this light color that we have, that we used here. Just to create a sensation of flat surface that the oranges are sitting on. And we also correct the shape from outside. Sorry. So adding a bit more here. And I'm gonna blend it horizontally so that I give the feel of a horizontal background. There we go. Blending the background in. Correcting the shape here. There we go. And trying to blend always horizontally. So even the movement of the like kind of movement of the strokes of the pastel, they lay down horizontally. Okay, so now we can intensify those highlights if we lost them. There's a small highlight on the leaf here as well. There. And also here on the rim and a bit of those areas. Those, not to dirty my hands. Here on the rim to create that sensation of the curve. Okay, so now I need to look at my picture from afar, and here I can add some of those details that I can see. There's like a scratch on this orange on this side. What's this brighter orange? Create that reflection of this brighter orange. And the shadow here. Okay, so our orange is all ready, and just here, but I'm gonna add that shadow. Our oranges are ready, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I would like to see your oranges as well. And as usual, you can download the reference photo from the Patreon page that I have. And again, this is looking too bright. Sorry, going back and forth. And also, you can go onto the community area of YouTube, my YouTube channel, where you can see and vote for different new tutorials. So I would love to hear what you think. And for now, this is it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!